What is going on, guys? Ryan here with another episode of the Dent Digest, episode number 53. 53 episodes. And I don't know how you guys are handling all this quarantine and everything shut down. And so I want to get into last week's show a little bit with the Anson family. And, it definitely helped with them having some hail. And what the PDR Tool Time guys are doing right now is just super nice and super special, and just shows the unity in the PDR world. With them doing all the contests for all the tool manufacturers, which is just freaking awesome. I'm very, very happy to be in this community and the good things that we can try to do for the people that are really struggling. So it's nice to see you guys actually placing some orders with them and trying to support these guys while everybody's down. So, thumbs up to you guys. I personally appreciate it. I spoke to a lot of the manufacturers this week, and, it's still not where it should be, but they're definitely appreciating the help that they're getting from us. So, but I want to get into a little news. I did get a new tool in the mail, but I want to bring on my guest. I've been watching his stuff on social media for a little while, and I liked how positive he was and wanted to get him on. He started his own new little podcast, so I want to try to get him forward and get him introduced and get him out there. So let's bring him on. What's up, Corey?
What's up, Ryan? How's it going,
How
man?
are you?
Great.
Another Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, right? That's the day? Yeah.
It is. That's pretty crazy, right? I look at my Facebook and I'm like, is it the only way I remember this show, which is terrible to say, is I put an alert on my phone in the morning. So I know that it's Thursday. And yes, I'm still sitting at home in the quarantine. We're still closed. I'm hoping to get back to work here in the next week or so. So we're making it through.
Absolutely.
So I did get a package in the mail, and I was waiting for it for a little while. Got a couple things, but one item that I did get I was super excited, was the Glexco hail kit. And I don't know if you guys don't know much about this. It comes with a bunch of different tabs. And what the tabs are, they're much smaller. They're for the hail. And it's a much smaller tab than they usually sell with their kit. Two different size rounds. So you got two different sizes here, a smaller and a larger. And then the one I was really excited about is this little crease tab. So I'm excited to use that. The other thing it came with is two different types of glue. And what they've come out with is their standard glue, which is the white. And then the red package is their hot weather glue. Certainly for you guys that are in California with the hot weather.
I have the hot weather glue, and it's impressive. And even if it's cold, what I will do is I'll torch it. I'll torch the panel and torch the glue and knead it up like a lot of the other cold glues. Yeah. And then it's hot and it pulls. It's crazy. Like little hail dents. They got to be on the softer side, obviously, but it's impressive how much metal that cold glue can move.
I talked to my buddy Bjorn from Belgium, and he was telling me at MT this year, he goes, I've been using glue where they glue the tab into the slide hammer, into the head of the slide hammer, a standard smooth tab, and put a little bit of Glexco on there, and they were using that. He goes, I rarely have glued. They're fixing some decent sized stuff there. So I don't know. Those guys overseas seem to always come up with the new ideas. The new stuff. It's crazy.
Cool.
So let's get into you a little bit. Like I said to everybody, I said you started your podcast, which is exciting. I was just telling you before we came on that I spoke to Ray Sapnew, and he said he was listening to it while he was working. So that's good to hear. What's the name of the podcast?
It's called the PDR Coach.
And you've started another program, which you're kind of coaching some of these guys. Let's hold off on that. Let's get into your story a little bit. How long have you been pushing?
I've been pushing for close to 15 years. Not all of that has been full time. So to go back in the story, my dad was one of the original Dent Pro franchises that started in the Bay Area of California back in 1991. And I was 5 when he started. And so he bought into that franchise. Obviously the training was almost non-existent. It was basically, white PVC pipe or a wooden base with a yellow board on it. Couldn't turn it or anything. And they were finding ways to make it happen. But as far as when I started pushing, it was probably like 14, 15 years old. And that was like high school summers, and my dad's, looking out for my best interests and have me not go out and, make some trouble, riding my bikes around the neighborhood and things like that. So he's like, come to work with me. And I was like, I don't want to go fix dents on like high school summer. Like that's the last thing I want to do. But I did it obviously because he made me, and I'm glad he did. But we'd go to like a Hertz rental car place basically, and they'd have like 25 cars, and he'd put me on one dent, and I'd work on it all day, 4 hours, 5 hours, I can't imagine what they look like now, but not good.
We've all been there. Yeah. We've all done it, dude.
Just the first day. And then so he'd fix the 15, 20 other cars, come behind me, fix up mine a little bit. It was a post rental place, so the quality didn't have to be, dead on.
Yeah.
And then we'd move on, and that's how I learned. So I did that for years. I mean, my training was over probably a 3-year period for months at a time. And then I'd take time off. I'd go back to work with them. And then when I graduated high school, before I went to college, I took a month off and went to Dent Pro training essentially, and then started working full time. And that was in 2004. So
nice.
It's been a while.
Now, is he still in the business?
Yeah, he still owns the Dent Pro franchise. Not a franchise anymore. That's a story for another day. But that franchise model broke down, as you would imagine, because it's more about each individual technician than it is about the name of the company. But he still does it. He's 63 now, and typically he's working full time. Not right now, he's not, but he's working full time typically, and probably gonna. I kind of joke, but also maybe it's not a joke. I kind of say that he's going to probably die on a car lot. That's probably when he'll stop pushing.
Hey,
he's going to be pushing and just, I don't know, 80 years old. Who knows? That's just who he is.
Hey, if you got to go. I mean, you can't, everybody in here, there's 30 people watching, and everybody in here is passionate about dent repair and truly loves it, because they would not waste their Thursday night listening to me ramble about dents.
Absolutely.
So, that's one thing I can say that is about this industry is there's a lot of really passionate people, dude, know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of work for him. Now, where are you with the company? What's going on with you?
So I'm a part owner of the company. I essentially run all the day-to-day operations. Over the last 5 years, I've basically taken over all the marketing, all the online stuff, all of the growth aspect of it. And he's just more so pushing now. I mean, he's done this for almost 30 years, and his desire to push forward and have the growth in a company that we all want to see is not there, and he admits it. I mean, he's got a few years left realistically. I mean, I say he's going to push till forever, but he's got a few years, 5 years left realistically. So he doesn't have a big desire to go out and push and grow and learn how to do AdWords and learn how to do social media marketing and learn how to do all those things. So I've kind of taken all of that over, and we've grown a pretty good operation out here. We have 5 techs and contractors, and it goes up and down, but we get up and around 7 figures most years, probably not this year, but so we have a good operation going, and that's what I do. I mean, I push dents. I run the technicians. I'm the surrogate owner, but I don't own the company.
Yeah. Which is, it's a family business.
Not that's about to be it. It's a family business. It's really, whether I own it now or in 5 years, I get paid well. I get compensated for what I fix and for the fact that I do everything else. And so, taking it over would be good, but also comes with its own set of other things to take care of. Like he takes care of all the back end, the books, and all that stuff. So
that's just so much fun, dude.
Yeah. But what I've learned over the years is that I've talked to so many technicians throughout the industry, and I've caught myself coaching a lot of them. They'll call me and ask me, what should I do about this, or Google AdWords, or a website, or this dent, or whatever. And so over the years, I finally just decided, I should start this as a business and to coach people. I think there's a big market for it in the PDR world. I think there's a lot of guys who are really skilled, like you said, really skilled and passionate about the actual dent repair, but maybe not as passionate about the business part of it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of under-earning technicians out there, whether it be route guys, hail guys, or anything in between. And so what I want to try to do is get on phone call conversations with them, figure out what they want in life and in business, and help them get that direction.
Now, how many techs did you say you guys have?
We have 6 techs that we use, 3 employees, and 3 contractors.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in that Sacramento area?
Yep. Sacramento, California.
Now, do you get a lot of hail there? Is it mainly rental work, used cars, retail? What is your area like?
So over the last 5 years, no hail in Sacramento, but just north of us, we have Lake Tahoe. We'll get some sometimes. Redding got a pretty good storm last year. There was a lot of guys, I think, that ended up going to that one. And we got a lot of work from that, but I didn't go broker or run or go chase it or run there or anything. But no hail here. But over the last 5 years, thanks, Kent. Appreciate it. Over the last 5 years, I've tried to kind of section out the business to do a little bit of everything. So we have a really big, strong wholesale market. So we do a lot of dealership work, and we still have some of those old rental car companies that we've been doing for 25 years. That's still, the newer guys do that stuff because it's all bulk work. It's a little cheaper even than some of the dealer work wholesale. But we do probably 25 body shops or 30 body shops between all of us. And then we have a really strong retail base where, it varies from week to week, but we probably do anywhere from 2 to 5 retail jobs per day between all the techs as well. So, and also I'm actually a big proponent of the dent warranties. Keith is my main competition. Yeah. He actually taught me a lot over the years with this PDR College podcast. So
that was a great
him. I thank him because he didn't have to. He's just a good testament to being out there and doing what you think is right and growing the company overall or the industry overall, because his direct competitor benefited from what he did. And to be honest, I'm not gonna, and
I think everybody in here listened to that stuff because it was really good.
It was good. They're still doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Not as consistently, but
Jesse said he worked that storm last year for 4 months in Redding.
Yeah. We got a bunch of work out of it, but I kind of think that I want to be more prepared next time the storm comes to town. I wasn't. Obviously, Keith, I think, did a great job partnering up with Shane, and I think Tony was out there with them and a few other guys like running the shop and stuff. And he actually got a retail shop, opened it up. I think he might still have it, but I don't talk to him that often. Obviously being the direct competition, not like the city over or anything.
Of course.
But I think competition is great. There's nothing wrong with competition. I think that he pushed me to get better, but also the fact that I turned our company into what it is over the last 5 years has pushed him to get better, I hope.
I think everything's evolved too. You know what I mean? I remember when I started this, social media wasn't as prevalent. You know what I mean?
Started dent repair or started the show?
Dent repair.
Yeah.
There really wasn't. Social media was not anything. It wasn't here. If I had social media, the guys that have started right now, have such an advantage. Shit like this, tools. Yeah. I didn't have nice mini lifters and. I use the same Worth glue tab on the same shit glue and use denatured alcohol. You know what I mean? It everything's evolved. For one, shows like this, the PDR Tool Time guys, the PDR College, all those shows help everybody. They for one, get everything out. Get products out, explain products, tips and tricks and sales and. Even your thing you're doing, the evolving part of this industry is huge, which is, like I said, the new guys have the advantage with the tool technology and the information. Back in the day, I remember hiding in the back of a lot so nobody could see us work.
Yeah. So a lot of guys did back in the day.
So now honestly, it's all out there.
I think it's good, but bad. When I started back in 2004, there was really nothing. There was nothing to learn in the PDR world besides how to push dents. I mean, there wasn't people talking about it. I mean, it was your main competition in your city, and that was it. So I mean, I cut my teeth on those old Taurus doors with the big rounded, and all I had was basically like a little flag thing with a window kick. And when I needed to tape it up, I'd put like a tennis ball with a duct tape, or like a wad of duct tape that's duct tape up. And that's how I learned to push. But, and I think now there's so much information, but also I think almost now to a point that's difficult. There's so many things to do so many things that you can do that a lot of guys don't even know where to start. They're like, this is what I want to do. But like, do you do Google AdWords? Do you do word of mouth? Do you go to dealerships? Do you go to retail? Do you buy, how many tools do you buy? Do you spend 20 grand on tools up front, or like 4 and then and so that's kind of the space I'm trying to fill, is those guys that are in that space where they're like, I know I want to do this as a career. I am doing it as a career. I'm making, $3 to $5 grand a month, when reality should be able to make at least 15 or whatever, depending on what you're trying to do. Hail more. I mean, even retail techs can make 20K plus easily in a route, and getting them to that point. I mean, that's the thing, is like they get overwhelmed and they get stuck doing things. And so what I want to do is, and what I am doing, is coaching them through those steps and getting them to the growth that they want.
And that's the thing, is there's just, I was talking to a tech, he's in here watching, I'm not going to mention him. And we were talking about social media. He's like, I'm not big on Facebook. And I'm like, you need to be. And he's like, I just don't. I said, you need to be on everything. And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, I've done a test, and I'm going to put it out there. And it's the craziest thing. I've been home for 5 weeks and I haven't had shit to do, and I don't cut my own grass. So, that tells you how much time I have. So I've been testing a lot of different things. And one thing that I've done was, I had a Twitter account. I was never a big Twitter person. It's just not my thing. I've been posting on Twitter every single day. Just a single post with a picture and a little quick saying, nothing elaborate. It took me 3 seconds to do. And it's showing on my listing on Google. Higher than the shit I've been doing for a long time. I just saw today. I was like, oh my God, it's working. You know what I mean? I told him that the more you're on things, the internet, Google, Facebook, all that likes more interaction, and people don't know that, guys in here, they don't know what to do. I mean, the Dent Reaper's in here, and he does all kind of crazy stuff with GIFs and I mean, his stuff, he's doing really well with it. He's testing different markets in that stuff too. And you don't know. And that's why things like that you're doing right now help these guys through.
It's different for everyone. It just is. Like, open in the West Coast is way different, I would imagine, than, do I live in Temecula? No, I live in Sacramento. But we have a lot of avocados up here too. Yelp here is different than Yelp in the East Coast, or Google reviews here, or Facebook.
I don't do Yelp at all.
Yeah,
exactly. Yelp is trash here.
Yelp is big out here.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like, instead of going on a podcast and telling people, like, do this, do this, it's overwhelming. Like, no one has the ability to use every social media network, do Google AdWords, and go smash up.
You almost have to test what works in your area. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Try this, see what it does. Try this, see what it does. Because it doesn't work. I was talking to Chris Brown on Tuesday from Dent Patrol. He's in, I think, LA or down somewhere in California. And his Yelp is on fire. He's like, bro, I kill it. And I was like, I've had Yelp for years, never spent a dime with them, and have never got one lead out of it.
It's different for everybody. So what I'm trying to do is work one-on-one with people and help them figure that out. And there's a lot of guys, like, I mean, when you started this Dent Digest show, it wasn't just like a decision overnight where you're going to do it. There's a lot of build up to it. There's a lot of, like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know how to do this, all this stuff. Yeah. And so what guys do, that they get stuck in the how of things. They're going to be like, I'm going to start the Dent Digest show, and I have my first 50 episodes planned out, like all that stuff. If you try to plan it from now until the next year from now, you'll never get to where you want to go, because it's so overwhelming. Oh my God. So what you need to do is go, from this week to this week. Here are the 5 things I'm going to do this week. And then you come back on a call. Let's talk about that's what worked, what didn't, and let's move forward and do these things now.
And the other thing is when you hit those groundbreaking changes, okay, when you set somebody and you're like, okay, try this for 3 weeks. Okay. Try this for 3 weeks. And then they start seeing that impact. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
That helps with the development of these guys of trying to get and learn, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, the sales process just, was good in some markets. Yeah. Just the sales process, from start to finish, from the second you answer the phone to when you get paid, there's a million things that you can work on in there. And I mean, I'm not perfect at it. Obviously no one is. I'm continually evolving and getting better, but all the guys that I've talked to, there's so many areas where they can improve, and it's amazing. You can get them to change one thing about that sales process, and all of a sudden it's like they're closing 50% more deals.
This amazing. Is my 19th year. I went to the Mega Media event in Colorado this year. Yeah. And out of that whole event, you know what I brought home? I needed systems in place that I didn't have. 19 years. I've been pushing dents for 19 years. We're making money and I don't have these systems, but now that I've implemented some systems, it's making my life easier. It's falling in the place. So, absolutely. Now with these guys that are, I'm not going to get into your pricing and stuff, but when they get with you and they're going over their business, are you expecting to get some experienced guys, all new guys? What is your expectation?
It's a mixture, man. I have guys that have like a guy that has 15 years of experience, and he's a really good technician, but he does 6,000 a month, 7,000 a month. He has some things to work through as far as his fear of sales. One of the big things that we discovered was he defines himself overall in life as like a nice guy. This is what we dug down into his psyche a little bit. I'm not a therapist, obviously, but I ask questions and try to dig it out. He's a nice guy. He doesn't like charging high prices because he thinks people will think he's not a nice guy. And that's what it boiled down to. So he was undercutting his price structure by probably 50% easily. And all we worked through was the fact that was all in his own head. Really, what we are as people and humans and businessmen, we're the thoughts that we have and the story that we tell ourselves. Yeah. And so people will tell themselves this story for this whole life, like I'm only worth making $60,000 a year. I can only charge this much for a dent, and blah blah blah. When his quality of repair was worth way more than that, and he just needed someone to tell him that.
Well, I think the other thing is how do you feel about this? Would you say that some of that is drive?
People have the drive. Like if I talk to him, he says, yes, I want to make, 15 grand a month. I want to.
He just doesn't know how.
Doesn't know how. Or he does know how, but he like almost blocks himself from doing that. Like he'll be in a retail. What's that?
He's like, I can't do that. I don't want to upset anybody.
Or exactly. He'll go bid a job with a matrix or with a pricing guide or whatever at $350. And then there's 1 second of silence. And then he'll be like, oh, but it's only going to take me, cause he's good tech. It's only going to take me, 45 minutes. I can probably do it for like, he will undercut himself down and be his own worst enemy essentially. Yeah. And that's just what he's done for so long. That's just what he's used to doing. So we worked on that. I work with a guy who wants to leave the Hale Trail and move to a retail shop, and he doesn't know how to do it. He's like, yeah, but I'm walking away from Hale money. I don't know where to this. I don't know how to start, like all these things. And he does know how. It's just scary, dude. Yeah. It's scary for me to start this business and come talk about this stuff. It's scary.
It's kind of like me. I mean, saying, hey, I would quit this and go do the Hale Trail because I don't have a damn clue. It's the same thing. But I think you get a point in your business to where if you're going to do it, you're just like any of us starting this thing, you have to put your balls out there and just figure it out. You know what I mean? Which is nice that there are people like you that are out there to kind of help you step off that lip, and really try to grow.
And just guide you through it. I mean, I've done it too. I've been doing this for a long time. I've built a business. I've built multiple businesses and one dent company as well. And sometimes you just need somebody out there to observe what you're doing. I mean, all of the best athletes in the world have coaches, not because Tiger Woods needs a golf coach because the coach can swing better than him, but he can observe him. He can see what's preventing him from doing it right. and that's kind of what I have to offer. There's a lot of guys that have been coaching people in this business with the mindset stuff and with overcoming some of those like tactical sales advice things. But what I can do is do it every single week, not just like random phone calls or a podcast here and there that works for you or whatever, but just every single week. It's basically an investment in your own business. Instead of investing in multiple $1,000s of tools, you're investing in yourself and your business for a coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's advanced training. You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
For your mind.
Yeah. We have Mo in here. She said she loves watching your Instagram stories. And that's funny, because I started watching your stuff and listening to it. And I was like, I talked to my wife about the show and I was like, she's like, who is this guy? And I'm like, I just watch his stuff and, he's super positive and, I like what he's trying to do. And I was like, I'm just going to get him on. When we first talk, you're like, hey, we've never talked before. You know what I mean? That's what this is about. You know what I mean? It's about just getting guys on that can add to the industry, that can contribute their part,
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think you're doing a great job of that too with stuff like this. It all helps.
Oh yeah. It's this too. I mean, even through these times, it's something to do, everybody's sitting at home and bored and, hold on. Kent's asking, what's your Instagram handle? How can they?
I'm at Dent Pro Sac. So Dent Pro Sacramento, not Dent Craft. This is Dent Pro Sac, SAC. Yep.
So
I got a lot of people on there. I mean, it's just, I try to provide a little bit of motivation. I don't always have it either, but there's just a lot of mindset things that I've learned because I've gone through so much of the mindset training and the, kind of the self-help world, reading the books, going to the seminars, things like that. And there's so many things that we have, tools that we have that everybody has inside of them, but they just aren't aware of them. They just aren't sure how the brain works and why it prevents you from doing some things. And it almost sounds a little hokey, but kind of ridiculous, but you can trick your brain into doing a lot of things for you.
100%.
That's what I work with a lot of people about.
And I think when you're out there doing your thing on Instagram or Facebook, I look at it too, even stuff like this, you're helping yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Even you're speaking, you're talking, and it helps you mentally. You know what I mean? It's a mental thing on your end. So
when I put the stories on just Instagram, so people know, like, it's because I was struggling with that in the day. Like I'm reading into my brain. I'm like, why am I off today? Like, why can't I do this? Why am I frustrated? And so I will figure that out, and then I'll tell other people, because I know that if I'm struggling with it as a dent technician out in the world trying to build things and make stuff happen, then other people are too. Like, it's just gonna be the case.
And it's same right now. I mean, what's really helped me through is talking FaceTime with other business guys that are in different industries, and even a ton of the dent guys that reach out to me and we talk. And, I've had my struggles, bro. This has been some of the hardest times of my life. I sit back and I'll be honest with you. I'm telling the world right now, this has been one of the more trying times in my life. And talking to guys that are going through the same shit, that businesses are closed. They don't know how they're going to make it. They didn't get the PPP loan or any of the loans, and they're struggling. That's the only reason, that I sat back and can still put this show on and, sit here with a full head of hair. That's a disaster. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
the quarantine hair.
Yeah, man. We're me and Sapnu are doing the quarantine mullet, but
Some of the best ways to get yourself out of being in an upset, frustrated, or bad state of mind is to reach out and help somebody else.
Oh,
it really is, because it's really hard to be mad or upset or mad at the world, or mostly just live in the uncertainty of what the future is going to look like if you're out there helping somebody else.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what keeps me positive, motivated, and things like that. I mean, you can't be bringing value to the world and helping other technicians and still feel crappy. It just doesn't, you can't do those two things at the same time.
And I've learned that. I probably have one bad day a week. Mm-hmm. One day a week, I'm like, man, I just don't, I'm just not myself, and I reach out to guys and I'm like, hey, And they're going through the same shit. You know, I talked to my buddy Jamie today, and he owns Chemical Guys franchise, and he's closed. And, you know, he's like, yeah, yesterday was my bad day. You know, we're all going through this same thing. And it's nice to feel like you're not alone. And that's one thing I think with your program that you can be there and really try to help some of these guys through their problems. Because believe me, when I was growing this thing, I wish I had somebody who could call and figure this out. You know what I mean? None of this stuff is taught. We're all just figuring it out.
Yeah.
But after you've been
every single answer, but what I am is an asset to guide you in that direction, because a lot of it is the thought process. And so like, if we take the quarantine situation, for example, here, the biggest reason that it's so scary and difficult is because it's so uncertain. And as human brains, we don't like to live in the uncertainty of things. But if you take a step back to 3 months ago, life was always uncertain. This quarantine was always going to happen. There was always uncertainty. It just felt like there wasn't. And the reason it felt like that there wasn't is because of the thoughts you were thinking, right? The information you were taking in. Now the information you're taking in is fear, death, hospitalization, social distancing, all that stuff. Like, obviously you're going to be fucking like frustrated and scared.
Yeah. You know, and I said this when I sat here and I went through this for one of the other shows that I had. And, you know, I sat back and I was in bed. I was a disaster. It was 11 o'clock in the afternoon. I look at my wife and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. You know, I'm shutting my company down. Everything I work for is getting shut down. And I sat there for a little while and went through my day. And that night I sat back and I was like, you know what? I didn't have shit when I started.
Yeah.
I started with no accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And we're busy as hell now, you know, was. But I think the other thing is a lot of guys are uncertain because they don't know what to expect. Is it going to be busy? Is it going to be slow? You know, our customers going to be super scared because of the virus and super protective. And, you know, that's the struggle I think a lot of guys are going through. Do I spend money on AdWords? Do I spend money on advertising? Nobody knows. So, you know, you're going to have to do the same thing you did when you started your business, is put it out there and figure it out.
Yeah. And 3 months ago, you didn't know either. You didn't know that this was going to happen. You were just way more confident, and you were way more certain in your head that people were going to show up next week.
Yes.
And now you're less certain of that because of this situation. But it was always an uncertain. Everybody that's in the entrepreneurial world that's trying to get customers come in every single week is always uncertain. It's just less focused on that now. So basically what you did is you were living in that world, and you were living in the uncertainty of everything, the COVID, the death, like all the numbers and everything. And what you did was try to find, what your brain does is you find a way to focus on the good things or focus on the joy. So you're like, okay, why did this happen for me instead of to me? Like, what can I get out of this? You can have more time with your daughter at home. You can find a way, like next year, Twitter might be the one thing that propels your business further than you ever knew. And you never would have known that unless this happened.
Yep. And this, you know what, I look at it and I'm saying this because I'm hoping that as me being home with my kid, 20 years down the road, she's going to look back at a shitty situation that her mom and dad were home for 6 weeks and say, that was the best time of my life. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
You know, so it
doesn't happen. I mean, everything happens for you, not to you. It's something I've learned over time. And sometimes you don't know why that is though, until maybe 10, 15 years later. I just interviewed Bryce Kelly, and he's going to be on my podcast next Wednesday. And, you know, he goes through the journey of life where he gets fired from an auction, basically an auction situation. And if he stayed there and just cut his prices and stayed there, he wouldn't be the Bryce Kelly that we all know who he is, right? So in the moment of getting fired and being like, we're using someone else, he didn't know what it was going to turn into. But if you can find the good moments in that and keep pushing forward, then you know,
100%. 100%. I mean, I tell people all the time. I was actually telling a tech last week, new tech, getting into the industry, and he's like, I've been watching your stuff forever, and he's like, how did you go through with it? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you got sued for $1.5 million when you were 20 some years old. And I looked at him and I told him on the phone, I said, It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And he's like, why? I was like, it was a shitty situation, but I learned that side of the business. That's the positive. Mm-hmm. It made me grow up. And you look at everything, you know, I look back now, and I think it's because I'm older. You know, when you're in those shitty situations and you just sit back
from it. I bet when you got sued, you probably didn't think, oh, this is gonna be the best thing that ever happened to me.
Bro, it was like the world was crashing down on me. You know what I mean?
Kind of like right now, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like
yeah.
Right now. Okay.
No, this is much easier. Yeah. This is much easier.
Yeah.
But you know, the unknown. You just. And you know what? I've been saying this since we had our first COVID show. Yeah. We're all in the same shit box. We really are. We're all in the same predicament. There isn't one guy out there that is crushing it because everybody's, look at me with the bugs in here, crushing it because I'm sitting at home. Everybody's in the same shit box.
Yeah.
Nobody's killing it. I mean, there is some hail and those guys are doing great. And I'm glad the industry's, you know, guys are still working. But on the business end, there isn't one person that's sitting back saying, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm killing it.
Not yet.
We're all in the same.
I agree. But honestly, the world, like, if you think about it, the world is always there's a lot of stuff always happening in the world. Death, natural disasters, things. Economy, whether it's 2009 or 2001 terrorist attack, there's always things that are going to happen. This is not the last one that's going to happen. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 years from now, something will happen again. So what are you going to do from now until then to prepare for that? So maybe the lesson in this is that, like, maybe I should have saved 10 grand and put it so that maybe that's what you get. Maybe this is the world telling you this is what you need to do so that next time something happens, you can actually grow your business or start a podcast or start a new advertising funnel when everybody else is sitting on the sidelines, because we're spending money still. We're still spending money in our business because we knew something was going to happen. And so we have money to do that. And
I couldn't imagine being where I am right now without money in the bank.
Yeah. There's a lot of people like that though.
You know, I didn't lay off anybody. I'm still paying them. I was fortunate enough to get the PPP loan, which helped. You know, I am one of the million people that are fortunate to say that we got it, but I couldn't imagine the mental state of struggling. I don't know how I'm going to pay. I don't know how, you know, you have no work. You know, I knew a little more. I knew at MTE that,
shit was going down.
Yeah. She was already working with that stuff at MTE. She was telling me at MTE, make sure you wash your hands, watch your distance, you know.
For those that are listening, she is your wife, or those that haven't listened, she's your wife.
Yeah. Yes, and my wife.
She's very close involved with stuff.
A little bit, yeah. This is her thing. That's what I say. This is her thing, you know.
As a job, not just like internet researcher, right? To be fair.
Yes.
She's not just like really good at researching online. Like she probably knows some things that
science is her thing. Infectious disease, you know. Yeah. But it's for me personally, I look at the bad situation, I'm like, oh my gosh. But then on the other end, I'm like, I have learned so much from this. Just for one, I mean, I was on the phone FaceTime with Ray Sapno. I was asking him questions about something and trying to figure that out today, and figured it out. And, you know, that's what you do when you're downtime. Yeah. You know, when this first went down, I sat back and said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with my time. You know what I mean? You got all day. And I got right on it. Every day I get up and spend 3 or 4 hours on the computer and do something for the business every day.
But it's funny, like 3 months ago, January is maybe a little slower. If you go back like 4 or 5 months ago and you ask people, double down on the efforts to grow the business. Exactly. So you ask people like, oh, why aren't you doing the Google AdWords or the Twitter or the social media or the this? Is like, I don't have time, dude. I'm so busy pushing dents, like blah, blah, blah. So if now you're not, I mean, unless you're on the hail trail and you're busy, right? But if you're a local tech that's not chasing hail, you're probably slower. You are slower, obviously. And so what are you doing? All those things that you said you didn't have time for. Like, if you're not taking the time to do that now, it was never about the time.
No.
It was about you actually putting in the effort and the hustle to do it.
And don't tell me, you know, I can sit back here and I'm a proven fact. Dave-O was in here and he was on the first show that I was on with Christopher Ray. bro, I didn't have a clue on how to do a live show.
No.
I didn't have a clue. You know, today I'm sitting here. I called Ray Sapney yesterday. I'm using my resources. That's the other thing you have to do. People just like you, calling you for advice, coaching you through a problem. Use your researches. I've never geotag a photo in my whole life. I was in here putting it through the software.
It's fantastic, right? You know,
and it was telling me that the business was in Afghanistan. And I sent a picture to Ray, and I'm like, what is going on here? You know, and I spent all day today, and I figured it out. You know what I mean? But your YouTube is an amazing thing because you can learn so much just from YouTube. You know what I mean? Google AdWords, Facebook ads, any of this shit. If you've got the time, put it to work.
Yeah. And a little bit of money sometimes too. I mean, one, you can hire people to do that in a different time. Or YouTube is great, but it is limited. So if you really want to deep dive on something, there are, you know, e-courses you could purchase, which are basically like bundled up coaching sessions from an expert. I mean, somebody who does this for a living, like Facebook ads or whatever, does it for a living and is like one of the experts in the field, does Facebook ads for Fortune 500 companies. You could buy their course.
Oh yeah.
For $199 and learn how to do Facebook ads.
Oh yeah.
Instead of, you know, that as one option, or you could hire somebody to do it. There's a lot.
I hire somebody to write blogs. I don't write blogs. He knows what to do and it crushes it.
Yeah. So everybody's got a little bit of a different way to do it. And that's what you got to do is dig in. And it just depends on what you want. I mean, if you want to be a wholesale tech only with some body shops mixed in between, you shouldn't do Google AdWords or Facebook ads.
No,
you shouldn't, but you got to learn how to sell.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to sell, and you got to keep going on selling.
And get used to getting your teeth kicked in.
A lot of guys that crush it in wholesale.
Oh yeah.
You know,
not me.
That's okay. That's fantastic. That's the beauty of this world. Somebody's got to crush it in wholesale. Somebody's got to do 30 body shops like you.
Oh yeah.
They all got to be serviced. And so I try to find out what they want in life, what they want their life to look like, what they want their business to look like, and go forward towards that. Some people don't want to do smashed up retail jobs.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the smashes of all the smashes I see online. Like
Bryce.
That's it, dude. Like that guy has a special thing inside of him. If you want to hear, if you want to hear from him, he's going to be on my podcast, the PDR Coach podcast, next Wednesday. And we dig in, not so much how to fix dents, because I'm not interested in how to fix dents as much as I'm interested in like the mindset of going into those repairs or into those situations, because there are times when we've all fixed big dents or at least pushed our limits on that. It's not like Bryce knows going into the dent how he's going to do it, what's going to happen, how it's all going to go, right? Like, just like I said earlier with the show, people get stuck in the how. They're like, I don't know how I'm going to grow my business or how I'm going to start the Dent Digest show or how I'm going to start a podcast. It doesn't matter. You just got to take one step after the next step and you'll get there. And that's what Bryce does so well. And you will face adversity in your business or even inside of a dent. You will face adversity. Yeah. Are you going to overcome that or are you going to stop?
And you break everything down.
Yeah. Step
by step. Because if you look at the whole thing, you're like, I don't know. You know, I'm that type of guy. I sit back. If I look at a job and it's a big smash, okay, and it's scheduled for tomorrow, and that night while I'm laying in bed before I fall asleep, okay, how am I going to attack this? Step one. Step two. What's the next step? Okay, if that doesn't work, what's my next step? That's what I do.
Yeah, contingency plans, that's fine. But you can go in with an 8-step plan and step 3 goes wrong. It all goes out the window and you got to do something different. You're like, we all do that. We all schedule that dent for next Friday and we're thinking about it all week because it's like kind of pushing our limits of what we think we're capable of doing. And that consumes you for the whole week. You're like, okay, let me get past all these door dings. I got to get to that one. You're like, I'm going to use this tool. I'm going to do that. You take it all apart and you're like, oh shit, there's no access.
Yeah.
Now what? Right? Now what are you going to do? Throw your hands up and walk away? Or are you gonna find a way to fix it, right?
Yeah.
Same thing in business. You're gonna come up against those walls, whether it's a natural disaster like this, or whether your auction house fires you, or your biggest dealership fires you, or Google changes their algorithms and your ads aren't anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you're always gonna be, and that's the fun of the whole entrepreneurship journey, really.
Now, your average customer with the coaching, is is it a lot of it is the selling part of it? Is that your average coaching part?
It is a big part of it, I think, because I don't know. I think there's a lot of guys that I think, if you read like a book like the E-Myth, right? There has technicians in life and entrepreneurs in life. And I think a lot of the dent guys in this world are technicians. They just love doing the dent repair. They love figuring out the tactical part of doing that, but they're not as solid in the business world. And I think that's where they want the help. And so, yeah, I guess it is probably more the sales process, the mindset going into sales of getting new dealerships and the actual process from answering the phone to the sale, to the end of the sale. But there's so much stuff in between there. Honestly, like it's hard for me to generalize because everybody is so different and every situation is so different. Like I said, I gave you the example of the nice guy. Like I had no idea going into that was an issue, and he didn't really know that issue. But as I start asking him questions and kind of digging into to why he does things, and basically what I can do for people is I weekly coaching calls with them. I show up for them and I disrupt the way that they think because the way that you think, like I said, were our thoughts and our stories. So you have a story you're telling yourself of who you're showing up in that situation or who you're showing up as in that situation. So what I can do is disrupt that because obviously where you want to go and who you are now is not working, or else it already would have happened and you wouldn't have hired me.
Exactly.
Obviously. So what I can do is disrupt that and move things around in your head and you say, okay, maybe I can look at it that way. And you can proceed and start making changes in your life.
So Manny's asking, what way are you holding yourself in peace when you're working a hard dent? What's his mind process? Like, how do you break it down?
How do I break down holding myself in peace in a hard dent?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not always in peace. I mean, like I get frustrated as hell too when I come to an area where I think I can get it, but I can't. I mean, it really comes down to just changing your thoughts about what is going on. So it's the grit and determination and hustle. Like, how badly are you going to want to do that dent? And one of the things that I tell people with my coaching is that sometimes when they underdo the pricing of the dent, so if they know they should be getting $700 for the dent, you do it at $400, your motivation for achieving a final repair that's perfect is lower.
100%.
Right?
100%.
Because you're not getting backed by that. So it kind of starts with that a little bit. But I get frustrated. I've got to a point on a dent where I do walk away from dents and it hurts and I don't charge the customer and I have to reevaluate, like, am I even good at dent repair anymore? Like, I've been there, right? Like, we all do that.
Come on now. I think everybody in here has been there. If you haven't been there, you're full of it.
So sometimes, honestly, like, it might sound a little weird, but like sometimes we can get so stuck in our head, and it really is a story we tell ourselves. We get to that point, we see the brace or we see that it's blocked up, and we're thinking, like, now our thought process changed from like, all right, I got this plan of attack, to now your thoughts are like, oh shit, I don't know if I could do this. I told the customer that I'd be done in 4 hours. I don't know if I could be done in 4 hours. I thought I was going to bill $1,000 today, and now I'm not. Like, all these thoughts, they're all negative thoughts. They all start spiraling into negativity. And when you're in that like negative mindset and in like a really bad place in your head, like, the odds of you fixing a really nasty dent that you've never done before are a lot lower. So I've actually taken a step back away from the dent, and I will actually like do push-ups or like call somebody or just try to change.
Walk away. Yeah.
I'll actually do, because like, you can do physical activity, whether it's push-ups or pull-ups or if you have pull-ups or whatever, or jumping jacks or something, and you can get yourself back into a positive state. And I know it sounds
See this physique? You know how many push-ups and pull-ups I do.
Dude, absolutely. But it sounds kind of silly, but it actually does work, because you can get yourself back into a good state of mind. And I think being in a good state of mind fixing dents is probably a good way to do it.
You know what my biggest battle is?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Time. I'll schedule a smash and I'm like, okay, it's going to take me 4 hours, and I back my schedule up so tight, and this dent takes me 6 or 7 hours, and you're stressed. And I'm still teaching myself, I've done this a long time, and I'm still teaching myself, give myself extra time, because I'm that hustler. I want to get as much done every day as I can. I want to get tomorrow's schedule done today, so it frees up the next day. Absolutely. And I put so much pressure on myself to get this stuff done, that these big smashes, and they're taking longer than I expected, put so much pressure on me that doesn't need to be there.
So you're setting your, and I do this too. This is what the same trap I fall into, but you're setting your story of yourself as like, I'm the tech who bills out $1,000 a day. or whatever. And what you want to, if you want to be the guy that fixes the big smashes and do those things, then you need to switch that story from the money side, to be like, I'm the tech who fixes the worst damage in the industry. Yeah. When you do that, you'll give yourself as much time as you want. The reason you're not doing that is because you want to be the tech that bills this much per day, because that's what you've told yourself that you are. And I do this to myself too. I'm like, that's going to be 4 hours. Then I'll go knock out the 2 body shops and do the wholesale on the way out. Right. And I get myself into this thing where I'm like, oh, fuck, I overextended myself. And so, if you want to be the guy that does the big smashes, or you want to be the guy that can do those types of things, then changing, and maybe the story around that day, even just changing, like, this is what I'm going to do. It's not about the money. It's about testing my skills today.
And I don't even look at the money. I'm at that point. I don't care if I bill $300 or
if you didn't look at the money, you would schedule one smash for a full day, even if it was a $500 job.
True. But my biggest thing is customer service.
Right.
I want to make sure if somebody calls, I want that shit done. It needs to be done as soon as possible. And that's what's helped us in my business. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm like,
you can have great customer service and schedule somebody out like 3 or 4 or 5 days. There's plenty of us
True.
Do that.
True.
So again, and this is what I do on my coaching calls. I challenge people because they start defending and telling these stories and stuff. And there's always a reason why you do something. If you could find that reason, you can change it. If you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to change it, you can.
Yeah. I do it to myself all the time.
Customer service is fantastically important, but you can have just as much customer service to somebody if you schedule them for tomorrow or 5 days down the road, I think.
Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, you look at some of these dents and you're like, no problem. Just like you said, you take the trim pan off. You're like, God damn, I got to glue pull this whole thing. It's going to take me 3 more hours, so you put that pressure and I've learned your repair is not as good when you're that stressed. And that's with anything.
Probably.
So, I think, how can guys get a hold of you? What's your best contact information to, if they're interested in the coaching, and how can they look into it and all that information?
Just talk to me. Like, I don't want to coach somebody who doesn't need what I'm offering. Right. So I'll get on a phone call with anybody, talk to them about them, see if I can help them through an issue. And what happens is I'll help them through something, and they'll realize that I was able to point something out to them that they were not able to see for 5 years. And they're like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. I should sign up for this. So I'll talk to anybody for free. The best way to do it is I'm very active on Instagram. It's my favorite platform that I use, @DentProSac. Find me there. I do have a website that I masterfully built by myself. Hey. It's okay. It works. Like, you can go on there and move around. It works. Benny is doing my 30-day leverage accelerator challenge that I made up. We'll talk about that in a second, but I call it the coachcoreyk.com. That's my URL.
Okay.
It's right here. Can I see this? Where's that side? Coach Corey K, because Coach Corey was taken by someone who coaches soccer in some other state. But so Coach Corey K it is. This is the real life of business, right? It's just, like, I don't know. Someone's got the PDR coach too. PDRcoach.com. Someone has it. I think I know who it is, but I'm not 100% sure. But if it's you, message me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, Michael. Benny. Yes. So I came out with a 30-day challenge that I wanted to have other people go through because it helped me so much. And I just finished my 30 days today. I think Benny's like 5 or 6 days behind me. We all say there's a lot of things that we want to do in our life. And what the 30-day challenge is doing 5 things every single day, no matter what. And I will hold you accountable to that. So it's not what it ends up being. It's not about doing the 5 things. Like, it could be like
accountability.
Mine are like reading 10 pages out of a book, because I always say I want to read more, but I never freaking do it. It's praying with my kids at night, because I will say I'm going to do that, but I never do it. But when you write it down and then you tell me or tell somebody else that you're going to do it, and then I want you to message me and say you did it, the odds of you doing that go up like tenfold. Right. And then it's not about doing the 10 pages. Like, 10 pages is reading 10 pages to change your life, but it's about that learning that when you tell yourself that you'll do something, you actually do it.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Like guys like Andy Frisella, if anybody follows him, 75 hard is his, like what I'm doing, but on crack. It's really making the commitments to yourself. Like, I'm going to build $1 million PDR company, right? Are you going to, or are you just say that for 5 or 10 years and never do it, right? So you're just like training your mind to say, I'm going to do something, and then you do it. That's what it's about.
How did Benny get hooked up with that?
Instagram.
Look at that, Instagram.
Yeah. I was just talking about it one day because I was starting it, and I just, like I said, what's on my Instagram is stuff that's going through my head. I'm not like planning out 10 days ahead of time what I'm going to talk about to like change someone's life today or whatever. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to start this thing. I'm going to throw it out there. That's why he's 6 days behind me, because I started that day. And then I was like, okay, everybody's going to start like on next Monday or whatever. And I got
So explain it, because explain it to exactly what these guys have to do, because I'm sure some of them are sitting here saying, huh?
Yeah. So if you want, I could send you a worksheet that you can follow along. It's basically, you're going to pick 5 things that you're going to do every single day. I try to keep them in categories. Like, one is going to be like a fitness thing. One is going to be a mental thing. One's going to be a relationship thing, like a family or whatever. The last one that I did was like hugging my wife for 10 seconds straight, because like, it's crazy how you can go through life for so long and like, when was the last time, like just a regular hug that doesn't end in anything, right? Just like just a hug. Like, you can go like, I got 3 kids and a couple businesses. My wife's got things going on. Like, I go a week sometimes and I'm like, wonder when the last time I didn't just like,
hey, if I leave the house right now, if I go anywhere, I get the 14-day quarantine. Don't touch me, stay away.
Okay, so basically you're going to do 5 things in that area, and I'll hold you accountable just through Instagram DMs. You can text me if you want, but I like Instagram DMs. And basically I'll hold you accountable. You're going to tell me the 5 things you want to do. And I'm going to say, okay, these are the 5 things that you want to do. And I want you to text me a W or an L every single night. And just having somebody hold you accountable, it's kind of like a lesson in what kind of coaching is, because even just the fact that you have a coaching call coming up every single week is going to propel you forward to do those things. It's crazy that you will do whatever it takes to not let someone else down, but you'll let yourself down all the freaking time. It's crazy.
So that's 5 things every day.
5 things every day. That's it. Simple.
7 days a week.
Yep. 7 days a week. Saturday and Sunday do not take off. And that's another thing in this world too. It's like, I only work 5 days a week. I have specific boundaries set on my work schedule. I will not work on a Saturday or Sunday. I just don't do it. I've lost customers. I've lost stuff from it, but that's fine, because that's what I decided I want in my life. I know plenty of guys who work on Saturdays, and good for you. If you want to work on Saturdays, you probably make more money than me. So, but I have kids, and that's important in my life. And that's the way I have my life set up. So, but for this 30-day challenge, make it things that you can do every single day. I don't want it to be like, I don't know, fix a dent or build this many dollars, unless you're actually going to work 7 days a week.
And when do they send it to you? The day before? What are they?
The night of. I like the night of. Benny's been doing it like really consistently. Some of my people are a little up and down, and I'll text them and be like, "What's going on, dude? Like, you missed it." Benny's on it though. I think he's doing it with his son too, which is really cool.
Yeah, like, Benny's a good dude, man.
Good
He's dude. His son actually is recovering from COVID.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
He rode his bike across the U.S., living in life like a rock star now. So
I followed that. That was really cool. Visited a bunch of techs on the way out. One of my buddies down in LA, Shane Rosa. So I think he's for a little while. Super cool. So he just passed on COVID to everybody. So
hey,
dude, that's probably something that kid, I don't know what his story was, but that's probably something he's wanted to do forever.
Yeah.
And he took this opportunity, like, you know what, the world's fucking shut down. I'm riding across the world. Because when are you ever going to take, I don't know what, probably 2 weeks off of work to go do that? Freaking never.
Yeah. But and Tanner rode halfway there and had to come back because they had work.
Really?
So it was supposed to be 2 of them. And
it was for a long time. And then I saw there was only one. He bailed.
Yeah.
We all make choices, man. We live by the decisions we make. He wanted to make that decision. Good for him. Got
to figure it out, right?
Benny is the little boy. Yeah. So if you want 30-day challenge, you could reach out to me. I also I came up with like a free PDR sales guide. It's on my website. It's coachcoreyk.com, and you can click free PDR sales guide. Basically, it's for like a lot of people in the beginning stages of doing dent repair. It's basically the whole sales process. I give like start to finish, the 10 commandments of what you're supposed to do. And then just list a bunch of objections of like customers will say this, here's a response you can give them, and just like, I'm trying to offer, value out there in the marketplace in the dent repair world. And I hope it comes back to me at some point, obviously, but like, I'm going to throw as much value as I possibly can in the podcast on freebie stuff, helping people with 30-day challenges. If it comes back to me, it does. If not, I'm still put the value out there because I think it's worth it.
Hey, I mean, I say this all the time. I do this show.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah. And you enjoy it. We all do this stuff because we enjoy it, and just it's fun. My wife tells me all the time. She used to tell me when I used to do this in the basement, she would be like, "Okay, go in the basement and play YouTube with your friends."
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Sounds freaking great.
But
Joshua, man, I'm accessible. Like, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on my website. I talk to people all the time.
Just don't call him at 6 a.m. like I did, because I forgot he was California time.
Hey, call me at
7.
Yeah, at 7. Yeah, I was up.
So
yeah, that's what's up. So check the website. There's a few things on there. Reach out to me if you want to talk. Follow me if you want at DentProSac on Instagram.
And I would follow him. I mean, he's definitely got some stuff. I mean, I watch it every day. And there's another guy in here that's watching Mike from Heavenly Hail last year when I had him on the show. I think it was like episode 2 or 3 that he came on. And that's the stuff that gets you through your day. Manny on here. Manny, always positive every day. Instagram Live, just putting it out there. Jesse's show, Warm Apple Pie, all this stuff together as a whole. In one way or the other, you take one snippet from every single thing out there, and it really helps you push to the next level.
You can curate your feed. I think something that's huge for a lot of people, and that I will tell them for their Instagram and Facebook feed. Like, everything in the world is a good thing and a bad thing, right? Instagram or like social media can be terrible for somebody, but it can also be fantastic. It depends on what's coming through your feed. If you're going on Facebook and all you're looking at is news article about COVID, I promise you're going to feel like shit.
It's terrible.
Only going to feel like shit. But if you want to follow people like me and like some of the other people, Manny, or even there's a lot of other influencers in this world that work on the mindset, and I can send you a list. Maybe I'll come up with a list and give that away.
I mean, look what Gary Vee started. His morning tea. He's bringing guys on. My buddy Danny Scarza owns a body shop. Was on the show with him live.
Gary
That's
V's
a great thing,
Proponents of that, dude, is like curate the feed. Like, I have an Instagram feed. I have my Dent ProSac page that I do all this stuff for you guys. All my dent people. But I have another Instagram page that I go to that is my top 100 people. And I follow them because they're the people that I want to emulate and be like. Yep. And so I go on their feed and I feel kind of shitty. Like, I'm going through, I hear some news about COVID and I'm like, the world's fucking over. My business is ruined. I'm going to die. And then my family's going to die. And then everybody's going to die. And I'm never going to have business again. When I feel like that, I'll go on the other Instagram page and I'll just get positive feedback. It's your brain. I can teach you, but a lot of other people can teach you too. But like, your brain works in a crazy ways. Right. And if you can learn how your brain works, then you can learn to trick it. And it's not that hard. Your brain. So, and I don't know if we're over time or whatever, but if people want to stay or not, but we ask ourselves questions, right? And all our brain is designed to do is answer those questions. Right. So if you go into the dent, like I saw a bunch of people in here saying like, they'll think about it for 20 minutes before they start, or you'll think about it for a week ahead of time. You're asking yourself questions like, okay, what tool am I going to use? How am I going to do this? How perfect am I going to make it? I know it's going to be good, but how perfect, like how happy is the customer going to be when I fix their brand new Mercedes Fender, all that stuff. Right. And then so your brain is answering those questions. It's giving you ideas for tools. It's giving you like, oh shit, I never thought about using this tool in this way. Right. And then you hit an obstacle. Right. And all of a sudden it'll change. And then you're like, oh shit, how am I going to explain to the customer that I can't fix their dent? How am I going to, your brain is just answering questions for you. So if you're asking your brain, if your mind is asking your brain, how am I going to tell the customer I can't fix this? I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this. What do I need to do? Like, and then you're getting all frustrated. Like your brain's going to give you those answers, and they're not good answers because they're not good questions.
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't give a fuck whether or not it's a positive or a negative thing.
No.
It is the data.
No. And you learn too. I mean, there's a perfect instance. I'm going to give a quick instance. We got some time. I mean, it's whatever.
I got time. So
but
over here.
I had a Honda Accord customer. She hit 3 other competitors before she came to me. We're all priced the same time. I had better reviews, so she came with me. Honda Civic, simple dent in the door, and I put the wedge in, and I'm working, and I pull the wedge out. It was a new Honda Civic, and there's a little tear on the belt molding.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the customer's like, "How are you sure it's going to look perfect? Are you sure you're still not, one of those really edgy, iffy customers?" And I look at Shane, and I was like, "Do you remember seeing this?" And he's like, I don't remember. Mentally, you don't pay attention. You're just jamming the wedge in there, and you're just working away.
Yeah. So
I'm like, God damn, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. Am I going to tell her I damaged her belt molding, which means I'm going to have to buy belt molding and I fix the dent for free? What's my steps here? First thing I did was call the dealer because there's a dealer right up the street. Do you have a belt molding? Yeah, we got one in stock. Okay, go get it. I replaced the belt molding, never even told her that I damaged it, which was the right thing to do. But it's that point of when you're in business, that first step of handling the situation before it's the situation.
Yeah, sure.
That same thing with, you can use that in all different type of situations. Your first step of problem solving before it's a problem.
Yes. Gray Duck Dent Repair of Minnesota. What's up, dude?
That's the Dent Reaper.
That's the Dent Reaper. You will find what you're searching for.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, in business, in life, in a dent repair, in a relationship with your wife or your kids, whatever.
The reason I'm going to get back to the main reason why I brought that up was the reason I did that was because Shane was with me. He's a new tech. And after we got the car going, he goes, "Man, that was such a great idea. I would have never thought of it." I said, "Now you're going to think about it.
Now you think about it. Yeah.
You've got a company credit card. It doesn't matter. Just fix it." At the end of the day, it's like James Lee's business motto.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you take a light and you throw it off the bridge,
yeah,
you know what he's going to do? He's going to give you a new light because it's not worth it.
Yeah, and that's half the reason I use the limited lights, because I love the idea of that. I don't even think I think I got a replacement switch one time. I've had my light for probably 4 years. I think I'm Gen 1 or 2, like 4 or 5 years now, and I replaced one thing on it. But I use the light because I love using a limited stuff, because I think what James Lee's doing is fantastic.
Yes.
I support that. Maybe it's the best light. Maybe it's not the best light. I don't know. I don't have 7 different lights, to be honest with you. But I use limited. I buy limited because of that reason right there. And that customer is going to come back to you because of that reason too.
And you know what the first thing she did was touch the belt molding.
Really? She's like,
she rubbed her hand right on the belt molding. Oh yeah.
Nailed it. You're like, damn, that looks almost brand new. Almost better than
she got her dent fixed and her belt molding fixed. That guy is the best.
Yeah.
So, no guys, I'm not the belt molding repairer, so I don't do that. But look, man,
that are watching, yeah. Yeah. That's the only time he ever damaged a belt molding. So
stuff happens, man. As long as it's fixed, I don't see any issue with it. So
I mean, dude, we are what is it? We're doing aftermarket repairs. I mean, it's gonna happen.
I'm a problem solver. That's all.
Q.
I'm glad you came on. I'm glad you brought your knowledge and try to get some guys over to your podcast. And I really appreciate your positive vibes. And like I said, I've been watching for some time, so I wish you all the luck with the podcast and everything you got going on with the coaching.
I appreciate it, man. I really hope that I can continue to help a lot of people in this industry. I do believe that as an industry as a whole, we are really just starting. I know a lot of guys have been doing this for 20 years, but I think this is the beginning of a 10-year run that's going to be really, really fantastic. There's so many guys in this industry that are just getting into this industry.
Yeah.
And we have so much more room to go. I think my podcast episode number 2, I released it so early because I think the biggest problem in our industry is that people don't even know we exist. I mean,
No, it's crazy.
There's so much more growth in this world of people just shifting from taking their car to a body shop to a dent guy. Just that alone is all the techs that we have currently in this business cannot handle that. There is no way.
No.
And I think we're in just the beginning of the stages of growth in this industry. And I think guys like you, PDR Tool Time, all the guys that are making it, putting value into the world, trying to help other people are what's going to help us grow, but help us grow in a way that we want to see, right? A way that the pricing that we want to see, the professionalism that we want to see in the hail side and in the retail side. And I talked to somebody this morning too, who's going to be on a podcast. And like, there's just so many guys in this business that are doing such cool things that is just it's going to be big in the next 10 years. I believe
it is.
I hope
innovation too. I mean, the tool manufacturers, some of the technology coming out. I mean, there's a bunch of them in here right now, and it's just
crazy,
bro. It's
blows my mind because my I don't think like that. Like that stuff is so impressive to me. Like the engineering, that stuff that's going into that. But I think it's so cool. Like,
bro, it took me a year to come out with a hook tool.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like I know Dent Express. Eric, one of my buddies, Eric, he said he's known me for a long time. It gives him help. But like I was walking through the steps of him when he was creating the tool that he created, and just because I know him personally, and it's a long road, dude. It's a long road, and I thank you to all the tool manufacturers. I don't even know.
I mean, Ray Sapnew's in here. He makes the precision mini lifter, the lift right.
Yeah, the lift right. Yeah, fantastic.
So we're very lucky.
I mean, I used to make tools with my dad in the garage. If you weren't on in the beginning, that's how I started back in the day. Like every tool I had was homemade, dude. It was.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I still use some of them. To be honest, I just can't get rid of them. They just work for that right situation. But it's so cool now that we can just go online and buy it. And this is but that's so new. Like this industry has been around for 30 plus years for sure.
Yeah.
I know my dad was one of the originals in 1990, 1991. There was probably a few guys doing it before that, but just like we've had tool manufacturers like solidly promoting online at MTE and everything for 5-7 years.
Now it's even better because you have techs that are creating tools. James is a dent guy. The Dent Reaper, Ray Sapnew, they're dent guys
that drive around to all the hail sites and deliver to you. Like, come on, dude, how cool is that? Amazing.
Well, look, man, I really appreciate it. It was a really good one. There was a lot of people in here, and it seemed like a lot of people got some value. So, I'm glad I could get you on and really.
Thanks for reaching out, man. Appreciate it.
Bring you on. Guys, remember to wash your damn hands. Be safe. I got some stuff coming and some video stuff that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So I'll let you know when it releases. But remember, guys, keep it real. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching us. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. See you guys.